Hello guys! Today I'm going to share with you my video on educators' financial fitness, saving for better lives. Kung saan i-share ko today some of the financial strategies that work for me. And I know some of these could also help out my fellow educators. So without further ado, let's go to the video. So as you can see in the subtitle, this is gonna be an educator's financial fitness journey. I'm not a financial expert, nor I'm speaking in behalf of anyone, or I'm speaking in behalf of any agency. This is just too personal. And I hope you guys can make comments or suggestions for all of us. Actually, I'm kind of skeptical about making this video at first, because I have struggles in my personal finances in the past years. Pero naisip ko, with all the experiences I have and with the trainings I have in financial literacy, I think and I have a pretty decent personal management, and it's kind of making me comfortable about managing my money. So might as well share it with my fellow educators and some young professionals out there. So this video is entitled Relationship with Money. This is the part 1 of the series. So marami pa pong kasunod ang video na ito, in which I'm gonna talk about my personal struggles on financial management, and of course the working strategies I use in order to start the journey to financial fitness. Guys, this is going to be a very long video, but I know for sure that you can relate on this quality content, and if you continue on watching, you'll be until the end, you'll be able to come up with your own financial plans, and most importantly, you'll start making a healthy relationship with your money. Alright, so let's do this. The road to financial fitness does not happen overnight. In fact, it takes a couple of years for me to understand how finances could totally affect myself as an individual and my relationship to people. And of course, another more years pa for me to fully understand my financial capacity. So for my first step, I would recommend understanding our financial capacities. I'm gonna take you back in my first year of service as a teacher years ago. That was when I had a salary grade 11. More or less, it's like 19,000 per month. I'm not sure of the exact amount of my salary way back 2013, but supposed to be, I should have started my financial management journey back then. But things went on differently. I have actually regrets today that I did not have any chance to learn about financial literacy and how finances would actually define me as a person and as an educator. So for those na bago pa lang sa work, or bago pa lang sa service, or mag-start pa lang ng career or business, I would want you to consider understanding your financial capacity. So, magkano ba ang kinikita mo monthly? It is through understanding this, you can plan out your expenses and make your budget. We need to understand our financial capacity to avoid the expenses on unplanned trips, on or travel, or gadget upgrade, unnecessary shopping, risky investments, and large item purchase. During my first year in service, sabi ko nga, I never had any master plan on how I manage my money. So I ended up committing unnecessary shopping. Ito yung mayaya ka lang ng mga katrabaho mo or friends mo to go mall, bigla ka na rin na pa-shopping on clothes and other stuff, kasi kahit hindi mo naman needed or wala namang special occasions that need an extra preparation when it comes to clothing, ay talagang napasubo ka na. Although, pag bago ka sa work, it is also just imperative that you have to dress yourself so you would fit to the new environment. Next up, when you don't understand your financial capacity, napakadali lang sa atin na mag-say yes to any unplanned trips or travel. Yes, it's good, it's rewarding to go out and travel for a purpose or for leisure, but things that are unplanned would actually eat up your money. Like for instance, travel would normally cost your transportation, your meals, your accommodation, and of course, the expenses you will incur in your trip. So, what else can come up with little knowledge on financial literacy? It's actually when you suddenly decide a gadget upgrade. Isa pang challenge din sa atin yung mga na-attract tayo bigla na magpalit ng ating cellphone or laptop even though meron pa tayong functional and reliable gadgets. Just because minsan na-convince tayo ng mga friends natin na online seller or na-convince tayo to buy kasi nakita natin it would give us confidence na medyo upgraded na rin yung ating lifestyle. It's not bad to give yourself these things, but it could actually worsen your coming days if you spend too much on something that's not within your capacity. So, hindi lang sa gadget, madalas tayong ma-fall into a financial trap. I have also been trapped into large item purchase. Of course, in our aim to make our lives comfortable and convenient at may trabaho tayo, it's always a goal for us to buy ourselves or our family with the things we have long been dreaming. So I'm talking about buying a vehicle like a motorcycle or a car, or buying a house and lot or pretty expensive jewelries, sort of things like these. Looking at my income, I could only afford these things if I do it in installment or if I could get a loan. Either way, it's gonna cut my income if not totally consumed. I'll be talking more about loans in the next few minutes, but I would want you to focus on large item purchase, which could be the very reason why we ended up making loans or making installments and eventually piling up our financial stress. I have so much regrets for not being able to see this during those times when I got a loan for a vehicle purchase. And so, my income decreases, of course, to pay off my loans, and for a couple of months, on top of my personal recurring expenses, there appears unforeseen needs. So I ended up availing loans on top of my existing loan until I realized I can no longer exit from the cycle. And last but not the least on understanding your financial capacity is to be able to understand if you are capable to engage in risky investments. What do I mean by risky investments? Normally, in our goal to increase our income so as to respond to our increasing demands in our lifestyle, we tend to look for another source of money. And many people started to leverage and network investments to the full-timers. Basically, we can shell out big amount of capital. So marami nagko-convince sa atin to join network marketing, investment centers, and new business ventures. These are actually viable solutions, but only to those who understand the nature and process of each of them. I myself, I invested in a new business venture. Nakigaya ako sa ibang mga young professionals na nag-engage sa business. It's too late when I realized that it's very wrong to invest in something that you don't understand and you don't have focused on. So I actually established a business. I purchased equipment. I secured necessary permits and documents. And I did some promotional stuff. It did well on the first year. And the following months were all struggles. I have no focus and I have no master plan. So I ended up a failure in my business venture. I tried investing in network marketing. I was involved in selling and recruiting people to join in my team in wellness products, only to find myself again losing trust and confidence from other people because I was not able to forward the team, and I failed again in my investment. It's completely a waste of time, effort, money, and even relationship. I don't have anything against network marketing because I also have friends that became successful in the field. I just would like to remind everyone that if you can't focus on something and if it's a new thing for you, then it's completely difficult to be involved. The best thing that ever happened to me in all of these experiences was when I decided to do freelancing as event and training consultant. I invested my time and money to be trained in handling events and managing trainings. Doesn't give me like a passive income, but it gives me some perks that I enjoy. Like I get to travel for free every time I get invitation for a training, and I get some sort of a token or a small amount of service incentives. I'm gonna talk more about this side hustle later, but let's get focused on the very important tip to financial fitness. Again, it's about understanding our financial capacities. It's simply telling us to know our limits in order for us to avoid things that could lead to serious financial troubles. So if you're getting like a 19,000 monthly salary, you have to live according to the terms of a 19,000 earner. And from there, you develop a very successful budgeting. So again, para maiwasan natin yung excessive expenses, kailangan maintindihan natin ang ating financial capacity. Alright, so let's proceed to tip number 2, which is develop a budget tool. How do we make budgeting? The simplest and the most basic, of course, is to write down in notebook, in a notes in your smartphone, or to make it handy, or you can make a spreadsheet in your laptop. Budgeting is just very simple. When you have fixed income and you have a ready emergency fund, all you need to do is to write down the monthly recurring expenses in your household, like food allowance, utility bills such as electricity, water, internet, medicines, transportation, and some home improvement products. Good thing if you're not the sole income contributor in the family. Kasi for example, marami kayo sa household na earner, you only give a fraction of share to these monthly recurring expenses. So medyo magaan ang budgeting. The only reason it gets complicated is when your income gets cut to pay off loans or to fund an emergency because you don't have an emergency fund. What's the worst thing that could happen if you don't have a budget tool? Simple. As long as you have cash on your wallet, you will always tend to spend it. So it's always a better strategy to write down all your monthly expenses as well as the other expenses you expect that you will incur in a year. Alright? So madali lang yung pagbabudget or yung pag-develop ng ating budgeting tool. Pwedeng gumamit ng notes sa inyong cellphone or just a typical notebook. Or you can also use the spreadsheet in your laptop. Or meron mga applications online kung na pwede nyo magamit to manage your budgeting for the month if you do the monthly budgeting or an annual budgeting. Now let's proceed to the tip number 3, which is create an emergency fund. The next tip, which is, as I have mentioned, it's in creating an emergency fund, is one of the things I am very passionate about. All throughout this video, I'm not going to be talking about savings. For me, savings are only for those who have very high and passive income. For us average income earners, savings are completely impossible. Yeah. It's either you save a bit this month, you will tend to withdraw it the next month, thinking that we can actually delay or postpone saving up. Well, some others have successful stories in savings, but in my personal experiences, I always end up withdrawing even my maintaining balance. So, saklap, diba? So, what is an emergency fund? At bakit importante na meron tayong EF? This is very important, and almost all financial coaches and consultants would agree that it should be a part of every financial literacy program. Many people would say your EF should not go lower than your 3-month salary, which can be useful in times of unwanted sickness, unemployment, loss of gadget, immediate repairs, or even personal necessities. For me, a 1-month salary is a good startup, and then monthly you will just set aside your excess money to your emergency fund. What I do is I have a separate ATM for my emergency fund, and I have 3 digital wallets that are very useful for me when I need to pay for my bills, do the shopping, and when I need to transfer money. After all of my financial troubles in the past, I learned to teach myself of the best thing I could do to manage my finances well. And I've come up with my formula, with my own formula, which I called the free financing formula. Free stands for financial capacity, minus the recurring expenses is equal to emergency fund. So it's free. FREE. Creating an emergency fund is actually one of the best things that ever happened to me. It's like a savings that I could not easily withdraw because I commit myself to a mindset that my emergency fund could only be used for emergencies and not for leisure or for unplanned purchases. My free formula comes with 3 different banking options. My financial capacity, which is my income, goes directly to my checking account, which is the land bank. From there, I set aside funds for my recurring expenses, which I usually deposited either of my 3 digital wallets. I have GCash, PayMaya, and CoinsPH. I used to work with GCash alone because it's very user-friendly, and I could simply cash in my wallet in GCash centers and even in different payment centers like Cebuana and Palawan for free. I could actually load up my phones, pay my bills, and transfer money instantly to any bank accounts. But lately, I've been using PayMaya and Coins because of some rebates. But technically, they do just the same thing in terms of paying off the bills with buying loads and even transferring money. And for my emergency fund, I've opened a savings account at Metro Bank. It has so far worked for me very well. And in the past 3 years that I'm using Metro Bank, I pretty much enjoyed its online app. I can easily transfer funds from my digital wallets to my Metro Bank in just a tap and vice versa. The Metro Bank is very user-friendly. It has a very secured authentication. Every transaction that I make online, I receive notification in my phone and in my Gmail. Building up your emergency fund is quite not easy because it's like saving up. But the best thing about this is that you get to discipline yourself that this fund is not savings but an emergency. And so you should only use this for emergency purposes. I would recommend to everyone making an EF because it's good to have something standby in cases we badly needed funds. And so far, my free formula is really working good. Again, it's financial capacity, recurring expenses minus recurring expenses is equal to emergency fund. And I'm also gonna be recommending for you to get an online app of your bank, of your emergency fund, or if you're using digital wallets. It's really useful, and yeah, it's very secured. Next is our tip number 4, which is plan your loans. The next tip is somehow very close to my heart also because I have so much regrets that I never had a chance to learn this before. It's about planning your loans. Getting a loan is not bad at all. It's actually one of the fastest ways that we can improve our lives. Kasi diba, considering our monthly income, we could not instantly save up and make large item purchase. Or para sa mga parents, they could not easily come up with big funds or for tuition fees, and even for house improvement, even when you decide to build a business. Many of you would agree that almost all of us average earners have actually availed loans after loans that actually make our finances go tight. The best way to manage our loan is to plan it out. Planning our loans is not so easy. You have to study very carefully that all the loan offerings in the market. For us educators, there are government insurance agencies that offers a variety of loan products which can really help us in times of need. There are also private lending entities that offer huge amount of loans. When you make a decision for a loan, you have to know everything about the loan itself. Kailangan alamin mo yung interest rate, yung additional fees and charges, yung tenure ng loan, kung hanggang kailan mo siya babayaran, so you would not end up borrowing another funds on top of your existing loan. Here are some suggestions I would recommend in planning out your loan. So, number 1, identify the purpose of your loan and the amount to be borrowed. Essentially, we will not opt to borrow if we don't need funds. But just a reminder, loan will incur interest and will cut your income. So it's better to prioritize the needs versus the wants or availing loan. Of course, kailangan mo i-figure out how much fund you need. Alright, so for number 2, list down all possible financial institutions that could be potential lenders. It's better to study first all the financial institutions such as GSIS, Pag-ibig, SSS, MTMAS, and banks. And study, of course, study their interest rates. And so yung mas practical na piliin natin yung merong very small interest rate and other charges. Alright? So for number 3, choose practical payment terms. Kung medyo malaki ang ating loans and at the same time, kailangan din natin na hindi masyadong malaki ang bawas sa ating income, we can decide on getting longer payment terms or looking at our financial capacity. Tingnan natin kung kaya nating isettle ang loan within a short period of time. So it's better to study very carefully yung payment terms. Next up is consolidate your loans. Sometimes di natin maiwasan yung biglaang gastos at ang pinakamabilis na paraan is to fund our need. Ang pinakamabilis na paraan to fund our need is to avail loans. Hindi natin maiwasan na marami tayong loans from different institutions or even from different people. So, isa ring magandang strategy ang ma-consolidate natin ang ating loan and only think of one financial obligation to one financial institution. In other words, kapag marami kang loan sa iba't ibang lender, it's better to look for a lender na mag-offer sa'yo ng malaking amount which could pay off your other loans and therefore creating a single loan obligation. In this way, hindi ka masyadong mai-stress sa pag-iisip ng maraming loan accounts and this could also sometimes lessen the interest rates in the long run. So, consolidate your loans. It's very effective in my part na nabayaran ko yung mga loans ko from the other private lenders. I was able to avail a consolidated loans from a government entity. So isa lang yung iniisip ko. So I know that some of you can actually relate on this. And the last step is learn to zero out loan. Lagi nating iisipin, how can we pay off our loans and become debt free? Actually, it's very difficult to achieve this. But making an effort para unti-unting masettle ang ating loan by cutting off expenses can be a solution to this nearly impossible thing. Isa pang way to zero out is to allot your other benefits to paying off your loans. Instead of you thinking buying new things, isipin nyo muna kung paano when you have bonuses or other benefits na maibawas natin yun sa ating loan para unti-unti napapagaan natin ang ating financial obligation. And eventually, ma-reach natin ang debt-free status. Personally, I have a very terrible experience when it comes to loan because I wasn't able to learn planning out loans. And so, I ended up availing multiple loans. But I made a choice of consolidating all of those loans para isa lang iniisip ko. And this time, I'm actually learning to manage my debt. And I'm starting to lighter my financial loads. So, I hope you guys can actually learn from this. For tip number 5, it's what I call side hustle. Earlier, I mentioned that I'm going to be talking more about getting a side hustle. This is one way to increase our financial capacity. But sometimes, it could also lead you to a more financial trouble. As I'd mentioned, I failed in different ventures and investments, and I made huge financial losses. But I've come to realize that those experiences have actually helped me grow financially, and it helped me understand business and money even more. The best way to think of a side hustle is to ask yourself, what can you do best, and what can you do best that you enjoy? Prepare yourself and prepare your skills. Then offer your services. Use the social media to promote your stint and finally make deals. Serious deals. You may be starting very weak, but if you try to be consistent, everything will be possible. Always remember you need something extra, and getting a side hustle will give you more than that if you learn how to market yourself and how to market your business or service. For us educators, I would recommend just getting a side hustle like yung mga part-time jobs or yung mga part-time business kasi hindi naman pwedeng i-sacrifice natin yung ating full-time job which is yung ating commitment sa ating profession as an educator. So, just some sort of, part-time na negosyo or part-time na trabaho na magbibigay sa iyo ng kahit small income, at least it adds up to your earnings. That should help. Next is our tip number 6, getting a financial coach or a financial advisor. You're not gonna find in most of financial literacy program, something that talks about getting financial coach. Yeah, it's actually what we need. The fact that you reach the stage of this video and you get interested with making relationship with money, it means that you need to reset your financial health. And the best way to do that is to talk with someone who can actually help you figure out what's going to be the best way to exit from your financial struggles. Me too, when I decided to manage my finances well, I talked with different people who have decent financial management. And I learned many things from them. Getting a financial coach will make you decide better on getting loans, on putting an investment, in managing your emergency and retirement funds. Many of retired professionals have made great fortunes during their early days in retirement. But after a couple of months and after a couple of years, they end up financially struggled because they don't have a master plan of what to do with their funds. I also have friends who managed to save money for a couple of years and only earn a very small amount of interest from them, which could have made their one worth of house and lot investment into a 5 million worth of house and lot after 3 to 5 years. Imagine, instead of saving yung pera sa bangko na nag-earn lang ng sobrang liit na interest, siguro kung nagkaroon siya ng financial coach that could advise him na mag-invest sa isang house and lot investment or sa isang real estate business, sa isang real estate investment, siguro it would have grown more than twice of the capital. So kasi mabilis ang pagtaas ng value ng real estate investment in just a couple of years. Your financial coach can be your family, your friend, or even a complete stranger that could provide you with vital information on what to do with your finances. I am not a financial expert, but if you would like to talk to me about finances, just leave a comment below, and together let's make a better relationship with our money. Thank you so much for watching this part 1 of Relationship with Money. It's a series, and if you have any suggestions for the part 2 of this series, just leave a comment and don't forget to share this video. Thank you so much.